Good afternoon. We're just getting settled in here live, so you guys can continue to get settled in. We'll let some more people roll through. Let us know in the chat where you are calling from. Or y'all. I'm American now. So.
What's chatty?
That's what I asked. And no,
I mean in here.
Oh, it's chatty here in live. Yes, everyone's very excited about the Chris Leader session with River Day.
Georgian Bay. From Georgian Bay.
Scott's in Georgian Bay. Home. Everybody's working from home. It's rainy.
Oh, the gym.
Oh, that's good. Multi-early.
Who's at the gym, Kate?
Whoa, 2 gymmers. What the heck?
Man, we need to be in the gym.
They're in the gym now.
Watching the meeting in the gym.
Wow. Multitasking.
That's good. Yeah, that's right.
Hey, everyone, grab your weight.
Yeah, exactly. Here we go.
That'd be good. All right, everybody, we're gonna get started.
We need a horn. Paige, where's your horns?
We're about to start.
Thank you.
Only these guys.
The biggest guy in the room.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody online. We've got about 27 online, which is good. We had some external tech support that was able to embed a passcode into the link so that we didn't have to do a waiting room thing, and you guys just got in there, and it's good that it worked. I was really nervous for today.
It worked last week. Oh wait,
This is our
training last week. We're gonna try
Yeah.
a training session this week to see if it works.
Okay, good. It really freaks me out, all this technology, because it changes all the time and it's just really hard to keep up. So I'm glad that you were all there. We sent out a broken link this morning, so
And did you try to share it to Facebook? Probably not.
I didn't. I couldn't.
No, like we used to stream on Facebook, but I think the two are not friends anymore.
Let's just double check now.
No.
No, I can only share unless everyone wants to be friends with me on Facebook, then we can do it on mine, but that's not gonna really help anyone.
But just in case you guys are wondering why it's on Zoom,
Yeah.
we can't Zoom to Facebook anymore. Really unfortunate.
We
I
had a
wonder what
system.
people are going to do that there's a lot of coaches that run their business on Facebook groups, and they used to do Zoom onto there. So I wonder what they'll do now.
I don't know why they got rid of it. We had a good system, now we're changing it. So we'll do it live here. Give you the link, we'll put it on YouTube, and then we'll put the YouTube on Facebook, and you can get it a multitude of different
Yeah.
ways.
I find it's easier to look at YouTube anyways.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
it's all organized.
So there'll always be a little bit of a delay. It takes us time to upload it and brand it a little bit. So
Because it's mean.
so it may not be like within the hour, like right away. It's going to take a little bit longer. But if you want to see it
It's my
live, then you're
bad.
best to come on live or come in person. That's the best way to get the information right away. So welcome. It's been a couple weeks. We have a whole holiday until then. How was everybody's last 2 weeks? Good. It was Victoria Day.
Oh.
I didn't make the rules. It was Queen Victoria a long time ago. We're celebrating her for giving
I'll
us.
take the holiday.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Victoria.
But yeah.
I did fun.
Oh, like holidays.
Why?
Why?
Because roads are busy, traffic is too much. In our business, we can take a day off any day.
It's
Yeah,
fair.
that's right.
So why we have to wait for the long weekend?
It's
Yeah,
fair.
it's
I always
fair.
forget about the long
And the
weekends.
market is slow.
Yeah, we're in real estate. We don't have long weekends. So that's when your clients want to go see houses.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
not long weekend.
I don't know. Sanic was pretty busy all weekend. So what's the energy? Like what's happening? What are you guys feeling?
Anticipation for the June 5th.
Is everyone waiting
Do
for
you
that?
feel like everyone's
announcement?
waiting for June 5th?
I don't think so. We're the only ones
Uh,
that know about June 5th.
I don't know. I've been watching a bunch of listings and they're not getting any showings and they should be. So
House yesterday, it had 34.
Wow.
Okay.
Where was
And-
that?
Okay.
Oh, what price?
$7.99.
Yeah.
That's a good price. to
Did you
make.
guys do door knocking and do all the stuff before?
Beforehand, a
Yeah.
lot of neighbors
Okay.
came out,
Yeah.
Good job.
and then cold calls through before we went.
Okay. You did it proper.
Are you holding offers on that property?
Wednesday.
For Wednesdays? Okay.
We've had a couple of bullies,
Okay.
so. looking like it's-
It'll be good.
Okay. Good. That price point I think is good too.
Pardon? It just sent me.
Anyone else do any open houses?
And in the chat too, you guys can respond as well.
25? Where was that one?
Open up 25 people, $2.1 million.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
In the
for
Rouge
that.
area, yeah.
And that's 8th Avenue, 14 and 41.
Okay.
And another one we had in Arizona.
Mhm.
That's a chunk of $2,000.
Yep.
Saturday, I put
That's pretty good.
off-day is today. That's one off day, the other one off-day is next month.
Nice.
So people are
You're
out
gonna do
and
two,
about.
2 weekends then.
The reason for that, because there's no competition that prices,
Mhm.
$2.1 million.
Yeah.
So might as well buy it, rush it.
And if anyone comes before
If
that,
somebody like that house, they're gonna wait, it's not that big of a.
Yeah.
I wanna buy that.
fair.
So we also have a 5 open houses.
Wow.
I listed $2.2 million in the fee.
Mhm.
It's about 1/3 of an acre lot, 4,200 square feet, car garage, and 5 doors away from the same street, sold about a week ago. 3,100 square feet, 2 car garage and 5,120. So, but, and I listed 1.2.
Yeah.
And same price, but it's a bigger house, bigger lot, finished basement, bottom basement. And, that's the, you know, if somebody wanted to do an open house, I have to list it, it's like we have 5 open houses, we can only do 4.
Yeah.
So we listed a home 3,000 square feet, 9-foot ceiling, 3-foot bathroom upstairs, main floor library, and it's absolute disaster. I'm talking about it, it's not disaster, it's absolute disaster.
Mm.
Okay. I said, you want to do something, you know, what's under that?
Okay.
So the true agent told them 1.3, 1.2. I said, honestly, if you want to list this piece of junk, for the straight, you'll be sitting here 1.2, 1.3. You list 1.1, we'll say it's sell in 5 days, we'll probably get a little bit more than 1.1.
Mm.
She said, that's fine, we got it.
Yeah, okay. Should people like, well,
That's the Oyster in Austin.
Poison.
she's looking for help for open houses for anybody out there?
Like, this is disaster.
It's a disaster house.
Disaster, but
Motivating.
It'll sell.
motivated sellers.
Just to repeat, those guys own this. So Shift's saying he's got a property that other people say is worth 1.2, 1.3. He's suggesting do 1.1, do multiples. So have you done multiples yet?
No, we're just processing this week.
This week? Okay, all right. I'm just curious how,
But-
curious.
But I didn't tell them you get 1.1. I
Mhm.
say. if
No,
you
they cut the-
get over 1.1, you should be happy because your house is.
Yeah,
He's got 3 dogs in there, all in the cage.
they're okay with
And
it, so,
it's just not a nice. house.
yeah.
I made a mistake taking my socks with that shoe problem.
Yeah.
I'm glad I had the socks.
Yeah.
Can I talk about open houses while we're here?
2004.
Yeah, I'm just curious too, for Shiv and Rochelle that had open houses, do these people have agents? Or are they just out and about? Like, what, do they have agents already and they just don't want to take them?
People just say they have,
Yeah,
they don't have.
yeah, same with you, they said they
A
did.
lot didn't have them.
Didn't
There's
have
a
them.
couple that did, and a couple agents that showed up with their clients,
Yeah.
but most majority didn't.
Yeah, I'm just curious if agents are just saying, go to the open house, and they don't
Most
want to take
agents
them,
don't
or?
want their clients
Of
going to
course
open
not, but I
houses. They're like,
wonder-
I'll go with
That's
you.
why I'm wondering if they're being lazy, it's a lot of people.
Bit of strategy for people here. So how many people here have a BRA signed before you put an offer in? So assuming everybody's voting here, so it's two out of like 25, 30 people here. So 2 people get BRA before you put an offer in. Is that what you're telling me? 2 out of how many people here? Is that correct?
People usually sign BRA
When they put an offer.
First off.
Correct.
Which
So,
is
so when these people come to
dangerous.
your open house and they say, I'm working with somebody else, doesn't mean they signed a BRA.
Yeah.
That's.
That means they have no
that's my
agent.
point. Just say, do you have an agent? Yes, I do. Well, they don't. Because only 2% of people get BRAs before an offer. And so if they tell you that it's a BRA, just, that's nice, but don't believe it.
Yeah.
So move on to the next one. Like try to get them interested in doing something, right?
And I have a hard time thinking that a lot of buyers are looking and they're like, looky-loos. We went to an open house seminar this week. And a lot of people will just say, oh, we're just looking, but like, no one's just going to open houses for like fun unless unless they're a neighbor, right? But speaking of open house, actually, Shiv, when you guys do open houses too, I know you guys said you did the door knocking and calling. Do you guys typically invite the neighbors, like do the proper way?
We door knocking.
Yeah.
Okay, but day before or 2
Yeah.
days before.
Okay.
And one of the mistake people make, they just don't knock, they're not home. Done.
Yeah.
So we leave a door.
Something,
hanger
yeah.
For the
Yeah.
information of the property.
Perfect.
Most agents don't.
Yeah.
Most agents I know that. don't.
Yeah,
But,
you're right.
And so at least they have some.
Exactly.
Also, we call our client database,
Mhm.
and then let's say it's Saturday, we call all our client database, we have 50 clients. We say, hey, John, we did have an open house. If you have anyone, please send them, or why don't you come?
Yeah.
So it's just, you're meeting a client
Exactly.
instead of,
We left. Have a couple left, but We left these behind you, but they didn't.
Good. So I'm going to be doing, for those of you guys that have been watching your emails, I'm actually going to be doing an open house training session this week. We haven't done one in a long time. But I thought a lot of people have been asking us about open houses, and just like Shiv and Rochelle were talking about, I want to talk about the proper way of doing open houses, which is not just winging it, pick an open house when you see it pop in your email on Thursday saying, is anyone available? And then just showing up Saturday, Sunday, 2 to 4, open the door. Like, you can do that, but I feel like you're wasting your time if that's the strategy we're going with. So I'm gonna be teaching you guys more of a proper strategy, what these guys are talking about, and actually like picking your open house Monday to Wednesday, door knocking either Thursday, Friday, inviting your database and stuff like that. So if you guys are thinking about doing open houses, or maybe you've been doing open houses and nobody's coming to them, maybe you're doing the wrong strategy, could be the wrong house too. Like, obviously not every open house is going to be bumping, but if you guys are curious, we're going to be talking about open houses on Wednesday at 11:30. It's going to be here and virtual as well. So
I like
come to
the
that.
door off the day of the open.
You could do that too.
Because in my thoughts, like, if it's not something on their radar, you'll tell them ahead of time and they'll forget by that day. When I go there that morning, like, it's in a few hours, like the neighbor's like, oh, I am free, I'm gonna come by.
Yeah. So you could do, as long as you're doing something, right? And you're not just rolling in.
Honestly, we get a lot of listings to do.
Exactly. That's why I want to talk really about that strategy.
We get a lot of buyers to get.
Yeah.
Like, if we have a 2.1 million, we have our own offer.
Mhm.
The one is 799, we have 2 of our own offer.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it. Yep. And sellers coming through, they get to meet you. And then if they're thinking about it, maybe the house sells, and then you call the neighborhood, say, hey, we sold this house and they
We
liked
call
what
all
you
those-
did.
All those people who came to the open house, hey, we sold
Exactly.
this house.
Yeah. So really great strategy if you guys are thinking about different ways, and the online world's not working or things aren't working. Open houses, I feel, is a really cool way to run your business. Cool. So that's Wednesday.
We did a poll online about who does BRAs before showing.
Whoa, 68%.
60%
Yeah.
of our agents do.
No
clear,
way.
so Percy Fulton agents
Wow.
are highly
we're on
organized
top of
They
it.
do BRA before they get an offer?
before showings even.
Right?
Whoa.
Well, I'm not taking you out, and then you're gonna go, we take somebody else.
13 people. 6
Sure.
said no.
So Rochelle said the right thing. I'm not gonna take somebody out in my car and waste my time and my gas without them committing to me, right?
Mhm.
Some people think the other way around. They think they're afraid to ask because I don't know why. It's more paperwork, right?
Funny.
Hmm.
Cool.
Good.
You want to chat about Chris Leader now?
Yeah, I've got a few things on my list. Should we
Let's
do?
save some. Don't do all the good ones at once. Claire and I have a full
I know,
pile
like, I
of
got a lot
really,
of good stuff. We
really
had
positive
tweets in our
articles
meeting.
here.
All
So
right.
let's do some positivity in the middle of ours.
Well, Claire threw this at me too. We'll do this at the end.
Let's do that at the
maybe.
end.
Okay, so we did Chris Leader. A bunch of you guys were here, but some of you guys weren't. He talked about really how to build connections with your database, which I'm sure you guys hear us talk about all the time, and you're getting sick of us talking about your database. But he was calling it the little black book. And he gave us, 18 ways to connect with our database and really how to build connections. We were talking about how most agents want to become listing agents, and the best place to get listings is through your sphere of influence. And just sphere of influence isn't always your friends, your family, and all that. That's how we get your database started, is through friends, family. But as you go, your past clients become your sphere of influence. Your referral partners become your sphere of influence. So I think a lot of people get tired of me saying, call your database, because I think I'm talking about your friends and family all the time. But mostly we're talking about friends, family, past colleagues when you're starting out in the business. And eventually your database is going to become a bunch of people you meet along the way. And that's kind of the whole point. So when we're like, go back to your database, it would be, say you hosted an open house. Hopefully you're taking those people that signed in at the open house and putting them onto our databases, right? Yeah, right? You're going to put all those people from your open house on the database. So those are considered your sphere of influence now, right? So when we're talking about that, that's what we really mean. So I think that's why a lot of people try to steer away from it and they get tired of us talking about it, but they forget that they should be growing this database all the time. But what we're seeing is a lot of people are mostly, even though 80% of your business is going to come from this source, people are still chasing strangers for some reason, whether they're just too chicken to reach out to the people they already have on a giant list to talk to, or what it is, I don't know. But not as many people do it. So he did a really good presentation on how to build those connections in case you've been wondering about it. And do you guys want me to go through all 18?
No, just pick your top ones.
Oh, because there was a lot. Let's see. Okay, let's just start with number one, be friendly. Most people want to do business with friends versus strangers. That's a known fact. Some people are still too scared to do business with their strangers. Be confident, not arrogant. So quiet confidence. Let's see. Mirror their emotions. So you're going to be dealing with a lot of people in this business, especially when you go on listing presentations. A lot of the times people aren't selling because they want to make money, right? Unless they're an investor. Most of the time people are selling because they financially can't afford the home. Somebody died. Maybe they're going through a divorce. Their finances, they lost their job. Sometimes there's some really sad reasons why people are moving. It's not always happy. So you have to be someone that can actually mirror these emotions. If they're sad, you should act a little more sad. If they're angry, you can act a little bit more angry. If they're happy, act happy. But they talk about this a lot in a lot of sales skills training, is really just to mirror emotions of people, even the speed of their voice, the tone of their voice. You kind of have to be adaptable. Like, so sometimes it's nice to be ourselves all the time, but sometimes you do have to adapt your personality to who you're talking to at the table. Be reliable. This is a big one, actually. And I'm going to say this one because I see this a lot in our industry where people aren't delivering on their promises or deadlines. You may have had a client that said, hey, can you send me the comparables for this property? And then all of a sudden the day goes by, 2 days goes by, and then you're sending it to them when you've already failed letting them trust you because you said you'd send them a CMA at the end of the night, and now it's 2 days later and now you're sending it, and now the client's already lost some trust in you. So when you guys are like talking to your clients and they're saying, hey, can you send me this? Can you send me the name of a painter? Can you do this? Like, always be on top of it and show them that you're reliable and you're going to do the things that you said you were going to do. If you said you were going to follow up in 6 months, follow up in 6 months. Because a lot of people will be like, yeah, I told you to follow up with me in 6 months. And then I bought a house with a guy that was there that followed up with me around that time. And had you have followed up in 6 months, you may have gotten that listing. So when you tell people you're going to do something,
Little
do it.
rule of thumb, little street rule of thumb.
Okay, let's hear it.
Somebody tells you get back to me in 6 months, you always cut it in half.
Yes,
Yeah.
3 months. That's
Somebody,
like my fairy
somebody
thing,
tells
right?
you get a hold of them Monday, you get a hold of them on Saturday.
Yeah.
Somebody says get a hold of me in 2 weeks, you get a hold of them in 1 week. Never believe them.
No.
Always cut it in half, because when you get a hold of them, as Caitlin said, once you get a hold of them in 6 months, oh yeah, already bought. Thank you.
So if you come out of listing appointment, I
Mhm.
don't know about the buyers. You came out, you're in the driveway, send them a text message, 5 minutes, call them, 5 minutes later, call them. So honestly, I was really excited about it.
Yeah.
I honestly feel less good. I think we should do it now.
So this is
At
somebody,
the time, that's it, come on in.
so this is somebody that's told you, Shiv, thanks a lot, we want to think about it, right? And you go out in your car, have a nice day, and then you
I send
text.
a text message, whatever, I have a standard.
Mhm.
And then I call them 5 minutes later, I say, honestly, they already read my text message by that time.
Yeah.
I said, honestly, John, I really feel excited about you.
Mhm.
I know your house is crap, but I have a lot of fire for that,
Yeah.
okay? And I think we should not do the time, more and more listings are coming up.
Mhm.
And I know you want to see Mary, but what is she going to tell you different?
Yeah.
So I think you should come in the next 10 minutes and let's. And at least 20% of the people say, oh,
Yeah. That's one of the points.
I'm just summarizing here, just for you guys to know. If you're working with a buyer and you're pushy, buyer's gonna be resistant. If you're a seller, you want somebody that's pushy. If you're a lamb as a seller, they're not gonna hire you. They want somebody that's being aggressive when you're selling, somebody's not aggressive when they're buying. So if you say to me, gee, what Shiv just said sounds aggressive to me, this is what sellers want. I'm sorry.
They do.
sometimes the sellers say, you're too aggressive. I said, exactly.
Good. I'm on your side.
Honestly, you don't want to, I give them buyer's example. I said, let me ask you, if the buyer said, let me think about it, and, or let's say you go to a store, you see a dress you love it. Okay, and it said, I'll come back tomorrow. How many times do you go back?
Never.
Almost never.
Yeah.
Right? So if the buyer says, let me think about it, I let him go. What's gonna happen? What are the possibilities you're gonna go back and buy a dress from your house? Almost never. So my goal is to sell it tonight. To say, honestly, John, look at this. This house is this, that's what you want. So do you wanna, you just say, okay, think about it. call me back. You are aggressive to get your house.
Yeah.
And do you think I'm aggressive enough?
Yes.
That's good.
Let's do it. Let's get it signed.
Perfect. So that's all like scripting and experience and
But experience
confidence.
has nothing to do.
You got a little bit of experience.
It's all script.
It's a lot of
Everything is
script, yeah.
Even when you have a party at home, that's a script too, how you talk to your friend.
Perfect. So I guess on that point, my other point was don't wing it. So that was another one that he talked about was stop winging it. And say 90% of the success comes from being prepared. So whether you know your scripts, you know your presentation, you know the market stats, you know what's going on. I'm going to call a couple people out here without saying who it is, but there was some people that hosted an open house this weekend. A buyer came in, potential buyer, potential seller, and said they want them to come to their house after, and they didn't know what was next. And hopefully my goal of like doing all these training sessions with you guys, like when we do the listing presentations and we're talking about buyers and we're talking about open houses, my goal is not for you to listen and then go on with your day. I want you guys to like take it seriously when we say, okay, have your presentation ready, because you never know if you're hosting an open house when someone's coming by and saying, hey, I'm actually thinking about selling my home. Can you come afterwards? And if you're not prepared for that, of course, it's going to be, you might screw up that opportunity that just got presented to you. So it's always really important that when we're talking about these systems and having it in place, that you guys really go home after it and be like, okay, Katelyn's been telling me to have this buyer's guide ready. I should have one printed in my car ready to go. I should have contracts in my car ready to go. I should have my directional signs for my open house always in my car, like a bunch of, I think Sanix had like wine bottles and stuff like that. So like you should always be prepared for all the different situations and you shouldn't be winging it. So when you guys go to these training sessions, I hope you all have your listing presentations ready, right? That's all printed, ready to go. So when someone says, hey, can you come list my house? No problem. You've got your package ready to go, whip up a quick CMA and you head over, right? So never wing it. That's what's going to fail a lot of your people. But
just something else was on out here.
Yeah.
Taking, okay, you have friends, you have relatives, you have an aunt, uncle, sister, whatever it might be, cousin. And they say in here what Chris says, like take them seriously. Just like don't
like your friends. Yeah.
like your friends feel, you don't want to be aggressive, you don't want to be put on your salesman's hat, but you still want to be able to show that you're professional, right?
And treat them like they're like a top-notch client.
So here's an example. I don't know if it works or not. You tell me. But we have MoxieWorks, right? In MoxieWorks, you have this little thing called I think it's what, the pre-list or no?
The presentation, like the CMA present.
It's a present, and it's for the sellers present. It's just like it's not a CMA, but it's just gives them what's going on in their neighborhood, right?
Neighborhood
Neighborhood
news. Maybe.
Anyway, so if somebody says to you, hey, what do you think my house is worth or where else? And just not think about doing anything, I'm just curious, blah, blah, blah. So what would you normally do? Would people just say, oh, yeah, it's worth about $2 million? Or would somebody, what would you do?
I don't know. I haven't seen your house yet.
No. But my point is that sometimes you'll send them, well, here's all the comparables that's going on in your neighborhood. And you send them off a bunch of stuff from Stratus or whatever it might be here. Why not add that stuff to this MoxieWorks present? All you have to do is put the 4 email addresses in their MLS numbers into the present thing, send them off, and now they've got a proper little presentation that took you 3 minutes to do, rather than just sending them stuff from Stratus.
Like comps, yeah.
Yeah, like send it as if it's a professional
As if
presentation.
it's a little present. It's not the CMA. It's just what's going on in their thing. It's side by side and has pictures, and they can actually go in there and see all the photos and so on and so forth. So it's a nice little thing, and it takes as much time to do that as it would for you to send them an MLS number on through Stratus.
Or just winging it. You never know. I feel like people ask what their house is worth. If you're going to like a family barbecue or something, sometimes they're like really actually considering doing something. And we kind of push them off and be like, I don't know, market's doing great and all that. But
Yeah.
sometimes I go to like a family function, or not family function, because our family's all realtors, but sometimes if I go to like a friend's, like a baby shower or something, sometimes I will preemptively look up what happened in the neighborhood, because sometimes the mom might be like, hey, what's my house worth? And you're like, oh, well, I don't know. And then, so sometimes it's good to like, even just like before you go to any of these types of social functions, just to have an idea of what's going on in the neighborhood that you're going to as well. Because I don't know, I just find it naturally, real estate just comes up with people.
Yes, it always comes.
Always comes up. So if you're like hiding, like, oh, I don't know, I haven't really looked. Like, I think it's a good idea to know, right? You put your Century 21 badge on, here to work, but yeah.
Half an hour later, say, oh shit, I don't realize my name back.
Oh, I just got off
I
from
came
an
back
open
on
house.
appointment, yeah.
I know somebody who started their career and used to have a mug full of chocolate kiss or something there and stuff their business cards in
Yeah.
and stick it on the
Just
table.
drop them along the grass.
Hadn't had these extra things.
Perfect. So I won't go over those points, but those were the main points that we wanted to talk about.
Okay, so we'll come back to you for some more, is it lead generating tips I think,
Yeah,
for later?
yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, because I already want to talk about the
Okay,
really
so-
exciting stats.
Yeah,
that we
so
have.
Stats himself, so I was talking to a couple of agents on the weekend there, and one in particular there had two properties, and one had an offer presentation for Saturday, one had an offer presentation for Sunday. One was a condo, one was a house, and neither one sold. Neither one got off. Neither one got offers even. I don't think so. So has anybody else had that experience yet?
Yep.
So the question is, are we underpricing right now, or are we pricing at market, or what's the strategy?
Depends if you want some showings in the door right away.
And so what happened like last month or 2 months ago really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. Anyway, so the sales so far, well, let's look at listings. Listings last week we had what, 20,400 or so, 300.
300, yeah.
This week we have 21,000,
Ooh.
almost 800.
A lot of options.
It's a lot. We broke past 20,000.
And then stuff I'm reading in the newspapers, just so you know, that they're saying when people are renewing their mortgages, and a lot of people that took a 3-year mortgage back in 21 was the big year for everybody. We had like 120 plus sales. So a lot of people took a 3-year mortgage. They're coming due this year. So are they going to keep the place? Are they going to just refinance, or I don't know, pay the what 30% increase in or interest rates have gone up by 30%. So you're not so you I think they're gonna have more inventory is what I'm saying here. So
Even more
you're
than
gonna have even more
Wow.
inventory than the 21,800.
Yeah.
And if they decrease the rates, I agree with Shiv, and when they decrease the rates, you can see more inventory because people think, gee, now I can buy something different. I'll get rid of my property and move up or move down. So it's gonna be out there. So you gotta be very careful with your pricing. Very careful with your words. Let's underpricing, get multiple offers. I don't know whether that's the strategy or not today. You gotta look at the individual property and see what's happening. But sales so far for this month, unfortunately for May, it's I don't know if the spring market's over, but sales are down 29% for the first 26 from last year, and they're down 14% from last month. So the first 26 days in April versus the first 26 days in May, they're down 14% this year. Last year, down 29%. Now, the 5,000, we sold last year 7,600. This year, it's 5,400. So again, it's minus 29%. Of the 5,400 that sold, 2,000 of them sold for over asking.
How many?
2,000. So it gives you an idea that.
Yeah, about 40%.
So 2,000 of the 5,400 sold over asking. So just to give you an idea, does underpricing is that the right strategy? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it's going to be underpriced. Got to be really underpriced. If I break that down into the freeholds, the freeholds are 3,400 sold so far this year. 47 last year is minus 27%. 1,500 of the 3,500 sold for over asking. So it's at about a third, whatever it is. On the condominium side, who's trying to sell condominiums right now?
Ooh, very rough.
Condominium sides, just so you know, on the overall listings, 21,800, 11,800 are freehold, 10,000 are condos. You got 10,000 active condos. Of the condos, there's 1,988 sold. Last year we had 2,900 and 2,900 sold, so it's actually minus 32% for condos. But the condominiums of the 1,900. Almost 2,000 that sold, only 487 sold for over asking. So that's like 25%. So economy market's definitely different than the freehold.
Which is important because we're getting a lot of people.
What percent of the like a freehold sold over asking?
It's 1,500 versus over 3,500.
That's pretty good, like 40%, 45%.
Yeah. And on the condo market, it was 487 versus 2,000.
So we're getting a lot of people asking like if their client should buy first or sell first right now. And I think the question is to ask if they're selling a condo or a freehold as well, right? Like if they're selling a condo and then buying up, it's probably better to sell that condo
I want to
first
sell the condo.
and then buy. But if it's a freehold, they could probably do
And again, depends on the pocket, the
Depends.
price.
It depends, right?
So if we've got,
You gotta
if
be
we've
very
got,
careful.
you got 22,000 active listings and you sold 5,000, it's almost like 4-to-1 ratio. So now you're getting into buyer's
Less than
territory.
four, yeah.
That's what you're
Starting
asking.
in the buyer
Buyers and
territory,
probably-
so.
Yeah. And it also depends on the pocket still that you're dealing with too. This is overall GTA, right? But
So where's everybody going to? Where's everybody moving? We're down 29%.
Calgary.
I think West and East.
Leases.
Yeah, a lot of
Leases are up 2%. Condo leases are up 8%. Freehold leases are down 10%. We've got 12,000 leases out there for lease versus the 21,000 sales. So that's interesting.
Mhm.
So yeah, so they're going over to leases. So
Yeah. So we're telling people to list low, not to receive multiple offers, but to receive a lot of showings. So having 30 people to talk to is better than having no people to talk to, but it's not a strategy to generate offers in the price you're wanting. It's just to buy you a little bit of time for about a week.
I was a realistic place. 34%.
I'm finding that too.
No
So
offers.
Cynic saying he listed something at 870-ish and the goal is like 850-ish, thinking buyers will want to negotiate. He's had over 30 showings and still no one's come to the table. So there's still a FOMO effect. I still find that if you can get the one, then people will start to compete, but you need to get that one. So if you get a call that's like, oh, my budget's only this, put it on paper, like just get something on paper to stir it up because people still have a little bit of, they want that FOMO because it just takes one.
Were you holding offers originally?
No.
It's always been at that price.
Purposely
30
strategized.
offer, 30 showing, that's
Yeah.
great, but.
Great. So no one's stepping forward.
so sorry, Zach, are you comparing that to you said it's worth 850? Is 850 based on what?
I think that's what it's actually worth.
Based
I was
on
thinking about saying it's
based-
worth like
based-
950.
based on what?
Comparable.
Okay. Which is comparable like this?
4-bedroom and with the detached.
Oh, the
50 by
detached
100.
house, okay.
Oh.
Semi or
No, it's detached.
fully detached?
Fully
Okay,
detached.
so go buy that place.
850 for a detached home in Whitby?
Yeah, 30 people are
Run.
interested.
I'm gonna let Cardi go, and I'm just gonna say one more thing here. Just you mentioned Calgary, right? So I'm confused. I don't know the economy. I don't understand completely what's going on with economics. But in Toronto here, everybody would tell me that the interest rates are affecting the marketplace. Would everybody agree?
Yes.
Again, saying yes, saying no. Is the interest rates the reason why things are slow? And one of the reasons? What are the other reasons?
Pricing.
Cost of living is so high, people don't have money.
Can't afford
Is that all
groceries.
related to interest rates?
Interest rates, cost of living.
Cost of living?
Yeah. Food.
So here's the confusing part. Calgary came out with their numbers. Now Calgary's a different market than our market, right? The average income in Toronto, family income, household income in Toronto is 121,000. The average household income in Calgary is 140,000.
Whoa.
The average
Probably oil.
and the medium incomes is in Calgary is 100,000, Toronto's 97,000.
Wow.
Okay. But in Calgary, the sales so far for last month, the home sales were up 49%, up
Damn.
because their average price is in the $750,000 range.
So it's prices.
So I think the reason why Toronto is lower with my simple logic, prices are too high.
Yeah, they haven't come down yet.
That's it. Like, why is it that Calgary is going booming, right? And we're going the opposite way
Mhm.
because of prices. It's just too much. I mean, it's just, people aren't making enough money. So,
Message you need to tell the seller,
correct.
to say, when they say, prices don't go up, let me ask you, you have the sign 25 years, can you afford a house?
Mhm.
No.
No.
So why should the price go up?
That's right. That's right. You've cut the legs off the market because nobody can enter it, right? So anyway, I'm hoping the prices will drop in half.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
See, Calgary doesn't have land transfer tax either.
They
No.
can't
Okay.
afford to
Oh
lose
my God,
money.
and they can't afford to sell. You're gonna lower your standard
Because
of
if
living.
the price goes
People
up,
that bought
the
30 years
price
ago
goes
can
up.
still afford to sell.
Yeah, I don't think Calgary has land transfer tax either.
More
They
like,
probably don't have any tax there.
Yeah. So they got a lot of
But why are
savings.
people moving to Calgary? Because Calgary's cheaper.
But
overall-
better job.
Yeah.
probably.
And I heard on the radio now that the government of Calgary is gonna give them, was it $5,000 or something if they stay a year and move to Calgary? That's the Calgary government's paying people to move there.
Oh, you're paying them to
They're paying skilled workers to go to fill out a form, go to Calgary, stay a year, and they give you $5,000 bonus.
There's a lot of pre-construction condos that are being sold there. Maybe is that like, because people are buying multiple units? there
Well,
as opposed
They
to
gave up
buying-
on Toronto.
Well, Calgary's gonna be like Toronto. I mean, if they start doing what they're doing, because they're selling condos, right, pre-construction, the whole works, and this is all deja vu all over again.
Oh,
1990 was the same problem. 1988, 89, same thing. People went from Toronto to Calgary and then Calgary market. And this way.
came back. I feel like all my friends after university all went to Calgary. And then they all came back, which was
And then-
2008,
And then
2009.
finally, under the car can do her thing. Did you get this one or?
No, that's okay.
We failed to learn the lessons of Toronto's punishing post-war housing crisis.
Oh, we failed to learn yet.
And they've got a 1947, I believe it is, 1947, after the war, people started, 1947, people started, all the men came back from the war and started, looking for houses. Anyway, so the mayor at the time for Toronto said in an advertisement, acute housing shortage in Toronto, do not come to Toronto for housing combinations. This is the mayor put this ad in the newspapers. Don't come to Toronto.
People are coming to Toronto.
Oh, God.
There's not enough properties,
Not enough houses?
not enough houses.
We've got lots of condos.
Because during the war, all the war efforts went to building guns and war machines, right? Nothing went to build houses. So they had 5 years of no house building. So when the war ended and all these soldiers came back, there was nothing for them to move into because nothing was being built for 5 years. So curious. Fun.
Let's see if I can make all these articles sound positive. I'll read the headlines and
Stay positive.
we'll see how we can spin it together. So this is from Toronto Realty blog. He does about 2 to 3 blog posts a week. He's quite detailed. He's been doing it for a long time. So his is how is the Toronto condo market? And he sort of goes back to the beginning of the year, which is interesting because in January we saw a 46% increase from 2023. So January, February, we were pretty positive because we were seeing an increase in sales in condos. So we thought, okay, this is a good thing. These condos are going to sell. Then we get to March, April, and we start seeing the downfall, and the downfall is like really drastic, right? So at first we saw 746 in January, another 7 in February, and then we start seeing the downfall of condos. So we all thought at the beginning of the year looked great. And then March and April alone showed the fewest downtown condos sold in an entire 6-year period. So it went down pretty drastically. That's just for the downtown core, 6%. Yeah, so they're comparing us now to like 2018, right? He talks a little bit about absorption rates too, and that's a little bit more positive because the absorption rates are quite high. They're between 39 and 40%, meaning that the condos that are coming to the market are selling. It's just that the inventory just keeps growing faster than how they're selling as well. I think the positive way to spin this is for your buyer clients. If you've got somebody young trying to get into the market, there's no shortage of downtown condos right now. You can be in the downtown core, something that was, elusive and hard to get into.
Or if
Now,
you got
now you can get in.
kids that are going to school
That's
and
right.
university.
Maybe avoid renting. You can help your kids, buy a property and keep that in the family as well. So I think it's a good time to buy resale condos. Just as a seller, you've got to come to terms with the prices are, down and your competition is quite high. And we see it in our own brokerage. We have tons of condos right now that we're trying to help. So strategy wise, you got to keep looking at the price, try different strategies as well. But in the end, it's going to come down to price. So that's really what's going to sell these condos in the end. This is from National Post. Housing starts. So these are like new construction houses in Ontario drop all the way to 2018 levels. So most of us were here 2018. Remember kind of how exciting all the new construction was. We were all getting in line and getting our worksheets ready. Things were going well, but now we're not creating as much new housing as we were even by 2018. So started to fall by 1% in April. March had already decreased 2.2. So you can see it's just compounding every month that we go on. Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal all recorded a reduction in housing starts. So all the big major cities are starting to slow down their new housing, even though at the same time politically, there's tons of incentives to try to get housing going. So all of our politicians are talking about how eager they are to get things going, but we're not actually seeing this come to fruition. So it's not actually happening. Toronto saw the largest decline year over year, 38% decline in new housing starts, with Vancouver at 30% and Montreal just about 3%. So according to CMHC, the decline is mainly due to a significant drop in multi-unit housing starts, which fell alone by 11%. Even though single detached saw a slight increase, the new construction of condos and multi-unit, so big apartment buildings, drastically reduced. So the overall effect is still that they're down. Yeah, single detached is contributing now also to the decline as well. So Ontario government had a plan to get at least 1.5 million homes built by 2031, but progress has been slowed by high interest rates, and the cost of materials and labor have also contributed to the slowdown. So everything is sort of compounding. And then they're also saying that the economy is a little bit uncertain. So people are scaling back and builders are scaling back, and they're waiting to hang on and to see what happens. So there's no sort of incentive for them to build for us right now either. Positive thing is if you do have investors and people that want to get into new construction, there are no shortage of incentives to do that right now too. So they could snag something really good in a developing area, if you're speculative, might bounce back in a couple of years. We talked about this project last meeting. It's a new Pickering development. So previously Center Court was sort of taking over the whole Pickering Town Center, but there are other smaller builders that got some plots of land as well. So this one is by Savoy. And they're not a new builder, but they sound a little bit new to us because they've done other projects outside of the GTA, but they're not new. It's a family business. They're comparing these guys to Marlin Spring and Altry, long-standing family business. They're just building one tower, 571 units. We will have VIP access to that. We'll be doing that at 4%. They're going to do their pre-launch lunch this week, May 30th. So even if you don't have clients for it, I always say it's good to go to see what's happening in your area. You never know who's going to ask you these questions. It's just good to be aware. And they're cooperating at 4%, so it's not a bad thing. They probably, my guess is being a little bit cheaper than Center Court because now they've got to compete with 9 other towers that they're doing.
You know what the price is going to be?
They say 490s, like high 400s they're going to start at.
$900.
Yeah, which is high.
Today they're high.
It's high, but that's what Center Court did. They sold out their 2 towers, about 95%. They're going to hold back, I think, on the rest of their towers for now and see what happens. But that whole mall's they're doing their new rebrand right
I think
now.
they did it this weekend.
Yeah.
They had the grand opening.
Yeah, shops at Pickering.
Shops at Pickering.
Fancy.
Just off topic of
The
it,
renovating is what?
I don't know. I think they're just doing those new condos in the whole city. They're trying to make the whole thing like Shops at Don Mills. So I don't know if they'll do inside the mall. They
They
should.
will make it look like.
They should.
I don't think they're doing that.
They're doing like a skating rink and stuff, right? I think they're like maybe over 10 years or so. It's probably gonna take a long time. But
Yeah.
hopefully they get some better shops in there because there's nothing in there.
just off topic, just here, I was listening to the radio coming in there talking about new condominiums being built, and a lot of builders are building condominiums downtown, in particular. I hope it's downtown, but they're on the transit hubs. They have city's trying to get to build all this high rise on transit hubs and things like that. So they're building these units with no visitor parking and no owner parking. So
For nobody?
yeah,
Or they're thinking downtown, you don't need it.
if you're resale agent, I'm thinking today's fine, but if you're a resale agent later on, you're selling these things, you got to be aware. Does anybody ask when you're selling a condominium, is there a parking spot? No, but does anybody say, is there any visitor parking?
No.
They just
But
assume.
we always say, hey, there's no parking with the unit, but my question is there visitor parking? In some cases, there's no as well. So I think your buyer might be a little ticked if he buys this place and thinks he
No
can't
parking.
even have his mother come in from out of town and park in the building.
Yeah, some of these places only have 1 or 2
Yeah.
visitor parking alone, so it's not.
Mhm.
Yeah.
John?
Paid visitor
Paid
parking.
visitor? Come on.
Yeah, a lot of buildings have customer tower has
Yeah.
paid this.
But they have
Brutal.
both. They have regular.
Yeah, they have free ones if you go way
Yeah.
underground.
Not
Go to the-
anymore.
They changed it?
No, that's not in McDonald's.
Oh, festival. I know Cinema Towers, you
Cinema-
gotta go like to the very, very bottom.
You gotta go through the treasure map of
Yeah.
like.
Cinema Tower has visitor parking and paid parking.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, no,
Both.
but that's the only 10 visitor park.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
Center Court just built a tower at 2020 bathrooms.
Yeah.
And I think that there's this parking in the real commercial spots.
Oh, not even available for
Mm.
residential.
No residential parking.
Wow.
I guess they're assuming that your visitors live also downtown and they're like commuting to
What
get
if
to
you have like a boyfriend from out
So,
of town or
just so you
something?
know, they're also building, this is long-term care homes. That's sort of it's down over my heart. Long-term care homes are building in the burbs, no visitor parking.
I can't come. So
Yeah.
sad.
It's ridiculous. I used to get tickets. I used to go to the one here, Leisure Road down at Ellesmere and Kennedy Road, and I have to park on the road to get a ticket every time.
That was just
Oh my
cost,
God.
cost of
It's
visiting.
ridiculous. Right? And PSW is not, so that's another,
Awful.
that's another topic. Anyways, back to positive.
Yeah. we
Positive
got
thinking,
a whole lot of
positive.
positivity.
I'm just thinking more, I don't want to get sued in the future.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's a good point. We always talk about what free condos are doing to help sell and sort of talk about the lifestyle of a particular building. So Seattle's got a whole slew of cranes and stuff going up. They've got a really luxury building they're trying to sell where the smallest studio units are starting at $1 million and they go up from there. So Seattle's probably got a little bit of an interesting real estate market like we do. So recently they're trying to get rid of their last inventory. They have identified a McLaren as some sort of like luxury sort of a, you aspire to have something like that. They're dangling this $1.7 million McLaren car on their building to try to entice you to come into that building. They're trying to show the luxury sort of area. And it's their way to get
How do
luxury
they see
buyers.
it up there?
It's literally
Oh.
hanging on a crane.
But who can see that from the bottom?
Well-
And to give the car away with the penthouse.
Yeah, so with the penthouse, when you buy it, you have access to this custom car kind of hanging up on a crane. So they're trying to showcase it's a luxury building. You want to be here. And if you buy the penthouse for a couple $1 million, you have access to borrow this car. I guess it hangs out in the parking garage and you can drive it. I don't know. Would that entice you
One
guys
day,
to buy
one
a
day.
penthouse unit? You can have access to this car. They're trying
You have
everything they can
access
do.
to sit in it. You can't move it.
Yeah, but I didn't realize Seattle had a bit of a luxury market. So they've got West Bank and some really big developers there. Yeah, the penthouse is about $5 million.
Big tech city.
Yeah, that's true. It's fun. All right, this is, I don't know what magazine this is from, but Canada Pension Plan, real estate investments deliver another loss due to empty office towers. We've been talking a lot about residential, but also our downtown is being hit a lot where they'll either call it shadow leasing, where people have still a couple years left on their lease, but no one's going there. So they're just literally sitting empty. But people like the teachers union, your CPP, these pension funds also hold real estate investments as a way to keep their fund going. And now they're seeing losses in their real estate investments. So CPP's lost about 5% on their investments, which could seem like a lot. Some people are saying it's not that much and it's kind of normal for people to see dips and valleys. But yeah, downtown core is struggling with vacant offices. COVID really changed that. We see it here. We have 47 people online right now and about 20 here in person. So people downtown are struggling. The ironic thing is we've been looking for office space in Durham and there's like no office space available in the Durham 905 area. So
Or something you gotta fully gut and renovate.
yeah, so downtown has like no shortage of it. There's tons of it. There's tons of vacant spots. And we know Paige's husband's in the corporate world. They have work from home days. I think they only go in like once a week now. And they spent millions of dollars renovating their space. It's like beautiful branded spaces. And yeah, no one's going, but they still hang on to their leases. I think it's still a status to have something.
What's funny is my husband's part of helping them invest in these buildings for the pension plan. He's like part of the financial team, but they don't even go into their offices either at TD.
Yeah,
So they go twice a week.
I think
which is
they're
wild.
still good investments long term. It's just right now they're seeing a bit of a downturn. But it's not just us going through this in the residential side, commercial scene is also. And 5%, like I said, it's not all that bad in the big picture. They're probably
Maybe
used to
they'll
it.
turn those into big condos.
Or like Claire said, they should be long.
Oh, yeah, actually, yeah.
Care homes.
Claire for
Or they
mayor.
probably don't want to go to the 416. They probably want to be in the 905, right? So no one wants to be
Imagine if
downtown.
seniors downtown Toronto.
That's what our downtown is going to end up being, to seniors doing mall walking and stuff. That's right.
Yeah.
So 2024 expected to see fewest GTA new condo sales. This is not new. This is another article saying the same thing. This trend is going to continue for the rest of 2024. I think you're going to see builders sort of hold back. Summer is sort of normal where they wouldn't do a brand new launch, but fall typically would be a huge launch time for both freehold and condo. So it should be, I think in the next couple of months, we'll see if they launch anything, but you probably will see no new launches. They're going to continue to see, saying we're in deep trouble economically, productivity is falling, real incomes are falling, we can't build housing for the middle class, and first-time buyers are extinct. We're going to hit bottom. But we still occupy the best pieces of real estate on the planet. There are still people that like Toronto and value Toronto that will still always want to be here. So it's not going to be like this forever. Claire's been through this a couple of times, and Toronto is overall a good place to be, so that will come back. But right now, not a whole lot of new housing being built.
And there's certain projects that are strong too. And one of our agents sold a handful of pre-construction down on Queens Quay
Q Tower.
12 units.
last week.
Yeah, and that's a really good area. It's right downtown in the core. COA,
I'm gonna say he
COA
sold 11 units, so it was.
12, yeah.
for himself, yeah.
12, yeah, 11.
So there's still opportunities out there. Don't this guy here saying negative stuff and that.
Yeah.
There's some
I think
positives.
it's gotta be a good builder, good incentives. You gotta feel good about the unit and what they're building, what they're, it can't just be like a
And I think you
smaller
need money.
builder.
You can't just buy it and not have savings or money to close it too. Probably.
Yeah, so I had my own pre-construction deal. I don't sell a lot of pre-con. I know I support you guys in doing it, but it's not like the majority of my business. But we sold one in 2019. It just closed last week. So it took, 2019 to 2024. He paid $418 for it. That came with parking and locker and a little medicine cabinet upgrade. And his closing costs were $50,000. That is with VIP capped levies, capped duties, lawyer review. This is everything capped. This included like $10,000 carry-on, $2,000 realty fees, all the utility hookups, included his occupancy fees for that time period as well. But 418 purchase ended up being 480 in the end. And now we're trying to sell it on MLS. This is the Downfield Park, so not the best area. It's just developing now, and they call it North York, but it's Upper North York. Now we're trying to sell it at resale value, and the closing costs alone don't meet the resale value. Had he had no closing costs, we could have sold it, but he's probably not likely even gonna break even on it right now. So that's just to give you an example.
After everything is capped.
After everything capped, VIP, everything scrubbed and cleaned, because you don't cap carry-on, you don't cap occupancy fees.
Technically, you can't cap it, that's a standard.
There's $10,000 for this particular, in this particular case, it was 400 square feet unit.
I didn't think Terry that much.
I thought Terry was like 15 or something.
I can show you his statement of adjustments. It was $9,000.
Then check why Terry is that.
Yeah, these are all lawyer based.
Oh, but see, why is it that-
I don't know. I'll check the details, but yeah, that's what he got charged for.
The next time you buy, how do you put a Terry cap as well?
I don't know if they can even do that. I guess you could try to negotiate it, right? So negotiate everything. But yeah, so have a lawyer review your documents. In my case, my client was prepped. It wasn't like he was surprised. It just kind of sucks because we didn't anticipate the market to be down this low. So, and it wasn't bought to be flipped.
You guys
anyway,
also
so-
tried to rent it, but there was a billion rentals on
which
it.
we could
too.
rent it easily, but he'd like to sell it. So,
Shepherd,
yes.
It's 400 square
Yep,
feet.
407 square feet, baby.
is that on the east or west side? West side.
It's on the west side, facing the pond though.
It's Keeley. Keeley's the name of the building.
Yeah, right on Keel. So just an example of what,
Great unit for a student.
it's a good unit. We have had 30 showings on it, so. Developer wants to tear down low rent Toronto apartments for a huge condo tower. So this is a bit controversial. It's in the West End. Currently it's sort of a lower income rental building, but someone wants to tear it down and build a 45-story condo, which seems nice. It will add more housing, and they will have an obligation to keep the 56 rental units that are there. But during the time of building, where are those people gonna go? Like they're gonna have to go somewhere while this thing is being built. So people are picketing. They're not happy with it. I don't know what you guys think. Like on one hand, we need to build more housing. But on the other hand, we do need to have opportunity for lower income. So right now, these people are paying, I think it's about $2,000 roughly for a unit. They're obligated to keep similar, actually 2,600 per month, between 2,400,
bedroom.
2,600, yeah. 56 units right now. So yes, it would create hundreds more units, but there's 56 people that are gonna have to do something else in the meantime, but they would be guaranteed similar rental, but totally different units. So a lot of that stuff is gonna happen now too. It's controversial. I don't know what you guys think. Did you guys hear this? Maybe on Instagram or in the news, Harold, the mortgage closer? You guys heard of him before? He also sells jewelry. Sounds like someone else we know too. Harold, did you have stories about this in the past? Has he been around for a long time? Or?
You know that there's Oliver, the Oliver guy, and
Yeah, Oliver,
and this
one's
is
Harold. This one's Harold.
and this is Harold. Harold, the jewelry guy, gives out
Yeah.
mortgages, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, lot of Lincoln jewelry guy, your mortgage,
Yeah.
no qualification required.
Same shady kind of business, right? So I think they're in the same vein. So this guy got caught. He was trying to, helping people give mortgages where they couldn't go to an A lender. And even though they thought their mortgage interest was about 20%, by the time they look at the end of their books and they look at their lending, they had like admin costs and a whole bunch of stuff. It ends up being like 76% interest, which is way
Wow.
above the legal criminal limit. The legal limit, by the way, is 60%. So he's beyond that, but people don't even know that it's like that because it's all the way it's buried into the agreement. 76% interest. So
Wild.
there's already one case of a woman who used his services. She lost the entire house to him. She thought she was getting a $500,000 loan, ended up being like $2 million or something ridiculous. There's no way anybody could even pay that back. But the regulators are aware. They're trying to get his license removed. I don't know why it's not removed yet. But there's many people in the same situation. So it's they think it's like 20%, which is pretty high. It's actually like closer to 50,
You don't need a
60,
license to
70%.
lend,
This guy is licensed apparently. So
so he could just do it private.
you do privately anyways. So be aware.
So what he's done here, he has the mortgage company himself, and then the company that's the private lender is owned by his wife, and he says in there he has no control or no influence over the lender.
His wife.
He's right.
Yeah, him and his wife don't talk. So.
Just like every other marriage, right?
So for your clients that are struggling, maybe get in front of them yourself so you can help them out so that they're not looking online for, getting into trouble with these kind of guys. So planning to sell your cottage before capital gains charges kick in. Did anyone's clients reach out to them being worried about capital gains, or anyone with cottages? Did it kind of go away after the first initial shock, or I haven't heard of any more.
Probably no capital gains to receive right now.
So the interesting about this, which I did know, so we talked about how you can make any of the properties a principal residence, right? So if you had a high earning cottage with tons of capital expenditures, done a lot of renovations, things like that, and you also own a condo, probably makes sense to make that cottage your primary residence and let the capital gains be applied to the condo. Each person gets one primary residence, except when you're co-owner with your family, your spouses, partners, that group collectively can only have one primary residence. So if you collectively own something and you make that your primary residence, you can't make another property, even though you own it by yourself, a primary residence. So I actually didn't know that reading into this too. So it's not, I think people were thinking it was a loophole to make it your primary residence, and you can't. If you all own it collectively, only one can still be primary residence. What's that?
That's why he's not changing his address.
That's another conversation. So
Santa
you wanna-
Claus at home.
you want to hang on to your parents' home address. But yeah, so some Kawarthas like Peterborough and the Kawarthas have seen a 33% increase in prices of cottages. So that is going to affect those people that own cottages in those areas, especially if they're making renovations. We haven't seen a whole slew of inventory come, but we may. It's going to come June 25th. They've got about 4 weeks to make it happen. Main message again is talk to your financial advisor and a savvy accountant as well. And probably don't rush into selling it just to avoid the capital gains, because it's only on the 250 and above. So it may not be a huge impact depending on how it's organized. We're in tax season. You should have already filed and paid your taxes by April 30th, but just in case you paid them and didn't file them, there is some advice for people that cannot afford to pay the actual taxes. So this is for your clients that are in trouble if they're looking for advice or just general tidbits. We know that due to inflation, high interest, many are finding themselves struggling to pay what they owe. So in fact, 8.1 million Canadians owe the CRA an average of $7,400. So they already know, by the way, it doesn't matter if you file or not, they know how much you owe them. So it's a funny, ironic process that we have to go through the filing, because they already know the answer in the end. So it's a pretty tough economic time, especially self-employed individuals who didn't withhold their paychecks, because you're responsible for withholding your own pay so you can pay taxes. So people like that are struggling. This is considered real estate agents. So just a reminder, you should have paid by April 30th. You have until June 15th to file. So you have the next couple of weeks to at least file your taxes. And they're recommending don't wait to file, because CRA charges a compound daily interest on any unpaid amount owing for 2023. So the current compound interest rate is 10%. There's also a late filing penalty. So you also have interest and a penalty for late filing, and that alone can be up to 10%. And they will look at, if you do this out as a habit, like every year you're late, they also take that into effect as well. So if you're a late filer, they're also going to penalize you a little bit. So file your tax return as soon as possible, but even a partial payment will help. So if you can't pay the whole amount, pay what you can, because even that will help reduce the interest you owe. They do appreciate good faith payments. So they do take a look at your profile. If you're making an effort, you're calling them, you're communicating with them, they will take those things into consideration. So don't just hide and run away. Don't use a credit card. Obviously, that's not going to help you with interest, but you might want to look into using a line of credit. So a line of credit might have lower interest than what their compound interest may be. It says don't panic. call Sanic or just call
Don't
CRA.
call Sanic for taxes.
Don't call Sanic for tax help. But do call the CRA. So they do want to work with you. They want to know that you're trying. So they will actually build a relationship with whoever your tax filer is. Calculate, so let's say you get a call, calculate what your monthly income is, what your expenses are, and decide how much you can afford to pay each month. And they'll help you consider that as well. So make a phone call, make a plan. They're suggesting reach out to friends and family if they'll help you out as well. That might be, less detrimental than paying interest on it as well. Make a monthly schedule, make sure you're working on the timeline. And if that schedule or something changes and you have a life event, call them to let them know. So again, they're not looking for you to hide from them. They want you to be involved. They want you to be in it with them. Be aware of scams. So there's tons of scams right now. We get tons of text messages. There's one going on right now that says you owe $1,000 to the CRA. If you don't pay, you're going to jail. You're not going to jail, but you will have to pay a lot of interest, but make sure you and your clients know that you're not going to go to jail for not paying your taxes. Don't hide, it'll catch up to you. They can take legal actions, including garnishing your income. So they would reach out to somebody like us, your employer, and ask us to garnish your wages. Put a lien on your assets. If you have debt and haven't confirmed arrangements, make the scheduled payments. What else? If you are dealing with a serious life event, like an illness, death of immediate family, or financial hardship, so if you can prove that paying your taxes will hinder your ability to pay those life events, they'll take that into consideration with proof as well. So keep that in mind. The main message is pay what you can and work with an accountant. If you're feeling overwhelmed and you need some help to organize things, to hire an accountant to help you keep it organized. Don't try to do it by yourself.
If you're not good with money, then tell Heather that to hold back some money, and we'll hold back money. We'll pay it to the government, and then you've got something there. So if you want us to hold back 10%, 5%, 20%, whatever you want, we can hold it. We pay it there. That way it's not in your pocket, so you won't spend it. Hopefully.
So we'll try to help. I think this is the last thing I have before we'll get Katelyn to close off. There's another company similar to this that I forget what it's called, but this is where you can go on and check for tenants, non-payment, and you can check landlords as well. It's not just the tenants you want to check. You may want to check the landlord's reputation. This one is an Alberta-based company called Open Room, and it's free to use. So Open Room, one word. Their sort of mission is that landlords are business owners. It's saying being a landlord is not hands-free passive income. We're actually providing a service for housing in exchange for money. But that also tenants have an obligation to be good tenants. So we both have obligations to work with each other. So this is a system where you can go and see if the tenant has not made any payments or has any disputes. We had an agent who just used this on the weekend and was able to find that the tenant had already been, I don't know what they call it, but they had already issued a warning for not paying rent. So he was able to not accept that tenant.
Tenant
So,
doesn't pay rent on one of your clients' property.
yeah.
They can register on that.
Yeah, you can go on Open Room. So the landlord would have to register them as well. Then us as representing tenants, or representing landlords, we can go and search for any reports. So there's another.
Search if tenant has not paid.
Yeah. And not everything will be here. It's user based, right? So it's only as good as the users going into it and adding information. It's not like it's picking up every single thing.
It's good, like if you have a tenant doesn't pay the rent, say, no, you don't pay the rent, register you.
That's right.
Never be able to rent another place.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. So this is really good for us to know, to make sure you're screening your tenants, and maybe your tenants want to screen your landlords too. You can go, it goes both ways, right?
What could tenant do?
You can
Just
see
say they're a bad landlord.
bad
didn't fix
landlord, or they're
things,
using my
or-
space, I don't get quiet enjoyment or something like that, right? I had someone ask me, because they asked the tenant for ID, which, we're not supposed to do. It's a human rights issue, but we know what happens in the real world. But that tenant said, well, I want to see your ID. I want to see the landlord's ID. Well,
You ain't getting that. You're not getting that.
that's probably not going to work. Okay, let's move over. Claire, do you have anything news-wise, economic-wise, before we close off with some lead gen tips?
You got a lead gen tip right there.
Talk about farms.
Go for it.
Okay.
You find
Okay,
it.
so, all right, so we're okay. The market's changed a little bit. Let's say it's a little bit lower. It's going to pick up, but we've been there before. So you got to stick to your plan. You got to know what you're doing. I'm looking at stuff that Katelyn's put out here.
I sent you guys out this list on Facebook the other day and WhatsApp. You guys get this? This giant list of lead gen activities. There's an unlimited amount. So whenever someone asks me how to find business, like right here, there's a lot. You want to show that flyer? Farming is one of them. I assume you were going to show that farming.
Well, it's going to go through this here too.
Okay, you
Make
go
sure,
for
make
it.
sure everybody's got this here. So So back in the nineties there, so we just stuck to the basics. We just did all the things they were supposed to do. You farmed, you door knocked, you phone called, you talked to your past client database, you created flyers, you did this for sale by owners, you did expiries at the time when it was allowed, and you just there's all kinds of things to do.
Talk
Right?
to people.
Talk to people, right? So it's no different today than it was back then, and we all survived. I'm looking at some faces here that I know we all survived, so here we are. So have a plan, have a business plan, like you're in sales, right? You're in sales.
Yeah. And, the prices are high, income is low, right? You think it will take a couple of years to catch up to the price?
So the question for those online, when prices are high and income is low, does it take a long time for that gap to be closed? It's an opinion question, right?
Yeah, who knows, right? I think that affordability is a direct correlation to the interest rates. I think I think they measure exact step for step.
But in 1990, the interest rate,
Prices drop, price,
seven,
Yep.
people were not buying.
yeah, prices dropped to 25%. Remember that? Prices dropped in 1990, 25%, which corrected everything. How much does prices drop now? We've gone from 1,300,000 to 1,100,000, so they haven't dropped, they haven't dropped enough, but that's what I was saying before. So the interest rates will fix that.
Maybe
I
we
don't
want
think
prices
so,
to
no,
come
because
down.
you still have to qualify for the 40% GTS plus the stress test too, right? So it's just, it's just mathematics. It's it.
Just go back 2 years back, so interest rate was 1.5%. People were bidding what every year.
Right, that's right.
Price was high too.
Yeah, so I think if you want to, you probably have to go to 2020 or something, 2019 to get a better idea what a normal market is. This COVID thing's just put everything upside down.
Yeah.
Right, go ahead.
That's it. It was just, I'll send this list of things. It's nothing special. At the end of the day, there's still gonna be people out there that are gonna need to buy and sell. You've got people that are dying, people that are getting divorced, people are having babies. Like there's still life events that are happening out there. So yes, there's some speculative stuff, like people don't want to do it because of the prices, but there's gonna be people that need to sell their houses for certain reasons too, but we just have to get in front of them. So Claire's got farming stuff. So lots of agents are still sending out flyers to specific neighborhoods. It's not all online. I know I do a lot of digital marketing, but there's still a lot of traditional stuff
So
out there.
There's a trend going on right now. There's a trend that I see that guys are saying how they're part of a team.
Yeah.
But they're not part of a team. So what they're advertising, for instance, we did it 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Everybody, who belongs to the 3G team? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 3G team. So here's a guy here. He goes on and
He has a team.
he's got sold, and he's got his name up here, and at the bottom here, way at the bottom here, he's got the bold team. None of these sales are his. But they're the bold team.
It's all the agents combined.
So anybody that belongs to the 3G team or wants to do 3G advertising, it's really nothing other than a name and permission. Another fellow here did it too. Same thing. I'm looking at this guy here, and this is a brand new guy in my neighborhood. And I'm thinking, holy crap, look at this. He's got all these sales. That's outstanding, right? And I'm looking at it and I'm saying, well, it's part of the Rise real estate group. Okay, Rise team. This guy hasn't sold nothing. He's a brand new agent. Looked like he was born yesterday. Right? No sales, but
Marketing.
but he's part of the 3G team.
So we
Right.
can put all those.
So
Put Percy Fulton listing.
if you want to farm and you're trying to compete with teams or else, there's other things to do out there, right?
One of the thing about board team, he advertised in January, sold 22 homes in December. In Amberley, four communities.
This guy here said that gave the impression that 22 homes sold in Amberley. He gave the impression that he sold these 22 homes. That was the impression.
It's called smart
But
marketing.
what it was is it was 22 holes sold by everybody else in that neighborhood during that time period. So he was playing with the words, right?
Which is
And
what
he
you should.
also advertised, number one team in the entire, the,
For just the brokerage.
that is a very fine print in his office.
Yeah, I think it's smart marketing. I
We're
think you
all-
have to play
We're all
around with that
number
stuff,
one
right?
in some forms. That's right.
The whole point is to get people
That's
to
right.
pay attention to it and to look at it and to do that. Like we just did an email marketing. I know we don't do as much the traditional ways, but like we did an email marketing saying like your home equity value or something like that. So like the subject line gets them to click on it, and then they clicked on something. We had about 17 of our email database people click on something, click on that home evaluation link I talk all about all the time. And then we've got like a hint of who on our email list is still poking around, and they're people that we know are going to be selling in the near future. So there's many different ways of marketing that you guys can do, whether it's online or digital. I think the traditional ways are coming back, to be honest. I think farming is going to become a thing again. So like if you guys are considering farming, I was listening to a podcast the other day. Do you guys watch Selling Sunset and all that? He was on a podcast, the Jason or Brett, and they said, what got you started? And he says, well, my broker said farming. And he goes, you mean I can sell in any neighborhood I want and I can market whatever neighborhood? And he's like, yeah. And he took that as an opportunity to be like, okay, great. Like no one's stopping any of you guys from picking a neighborhood. Just because there's another agent out there doesn't mean you guys can't be in it. It's going to be hard, but think of it as an opportunity to work in whatever neighborhood you want. It could be the most luxurious neighborhood. It could be the cheapest neighborhood, but like consider picking
Pick one.
100 homes. We're going to have a guy come in 2 weeks to speak to us, or next week, where they actually will create your marketing for you and then they'll mail it out. You just pick a postal code. So I would encourage each of you guys to whip out $200 next week when they're doing their presentation and chuck it on some advertising next week and let them help you and just get used to the process. But I would start forking out a little bit of dough towards these mail outs, towards a farming area, and start just testing it. Otherwise, you're never going to know. Like there's going to be lots of people out there saying it doesn't work, but I mean, we've got Shiv here who does it. It's clearly working. So I don't know why we're preventing ourselves from doing it.
There was a guy in California, he was the second guy to earn $1 million. Remember the guy in California? Used to be a guy in New York City did it first, and then this guy in California did it. Anyways, he
What is that?
made $1 million. First guy in Central Illinois to make $1 million. Back in, I'm talking about the 1980s.
Which is a lot of money then.
Anyway, so he said that he wanted to take a farm, just in case he came into a market, wanted to take over
Jim Drone.
Jim Drone or something. Jim Droz.
Mm.
He wanted to go to farm area, but there was an agent that had a big market share in that area. So he wanted to go in there, didn't know how to do it. So all he said on his flyers was ask for a second opinion.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. Oh, like yeah.
So this person had like, let's say Tita Turner, whatever her name was. Who's that girl, the Brooklyn girl?
Tanya Tierney.
She calls herself the Brooklyn girl, right? If you want to go after her territory, you'd say ask for a second opinion.
Yeah.
Ask for a third
But do
opinion.
If you live in a condo building, like you should be farming your condo building. Just go into like the post office or thing and shove some postcards in the mailboxes there. Do something, but pick your own neighborhood, pick any neighborhood. I like the ones that are like townhomes personally, the new ones, because those things are always consistently going. But I think you guys should each like challenge yourself to just fork out a couple hundred. Tons of turnover in townhomes. That's why, yeah, I would go after those, especially Pickering.
They buy the right away, they want to buy semi of
Yeah.
and they can get double it.
Exactly.
The buy.
Good.
So
Have a good week. We'll see you Wednesday for open house. If you have listings that are not selling, drop the prices or come to us for help. And we'll see if we get a rate hold or decrease next week, June 5th. Have a good week. See you.
We didn't put in